Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm so delighted to have this panel to kick off our first Get College Ready Fair. It's been amazing to just see young people, take the lead on this initiative. I was like putting this together, thinking that okay, how do students really build their resumes? And I said, hey, look at that. Why not just pick up the phone and talk to a few kids I know of? And now they're no longer kids. They've obviously, done great things in their lives and also pursuing amazing careers. So the first person I want you to hear from is Akshay Prakash, a student I've known for many years. He's in the Delhi tech circle, in the DPS, all those excellent clans and other such computer science sort of groups that you would have heard of. Infamous or famous, I don't know, but yeah, you can look it up. So why don't you tell us a little bit very quickly? We have only 10 minutes for all three of us. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what you thought about when you pursued your dream to study abroad. And I know you did CS at Carnegie Mellon, and now you wear two hats. This is fashion all the way. You work at Apple, very interesting city project, and then you also have a baby that you sort of feed every day, which is Slingshot. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. But I'm so glad to have you all here today. I'm Akshat. I often go by Ak, and I graduated university honors from the School of Computer Science at Carnegie Mellon. I currently work, like Arjun said, as a Siri engineer at Apple, top secret. And I'm the co-founder of Slingshot, a global and upcoming startup incubator. When I was in high school in India and applying to CS colleges, a lot like you all, I used to, take the lead, go online, take courses, and really teach myself new skills. But I wondered if that really distinguished my college profile from all the peers around me who were doing the same stuff. Well, I knew Python, I could make projects, but could they really survive the real world if put to the test? Could my projects really handle the edge cases of the real world? What got me into a top CS school like Carnegie Mellon was really raising the stakes. No more toys, but rather taking on projects where real world engineering mattered. It became very clear to me that in an open, today's free internet world, you can learn programming, AI, blockchain, whatever you want. But where can you level up to become a real world engineer and real world problem solver? Where can you really distinguish yourself working hands-on as a high-impact programmer? Now, to be real, I didn't have the answer back then, but hopefully today you guys do. Slingshot, Slingshot, and Slingshot. We're unlike any mentorship program out there. We offer industry-level, hands-on, experiential internships at our own startup incubator. Over 12 weeks, you, along with other high school students, will work on current startup ideas being incubated by our entrepreneurial mentors, find challenging internship projects to hack on, and learn real life engineering skills. Our mentors have attended the best CS universities, likes of CMU, UCLA, Harvey Mudd, and much like myself, work at some of the biggest tech companies: Google, Apple, Facebook, and Microsoft. At Slingshot, we're really trying to get you ready not only for a very differentiating college profile, but also even after. And our interns really work on things that college graduates even dream of working on after 4 years. Behavioral biometrics, blockchain research, sports AI, routing and online algorithms, you name it. Oh wait, and one last thing. There's this one last thing, aka Tim Cook borrowing from there. We are a 100% free program. We look for talent and only talent. There's no hidden cost, nothing backdoor. We're 100% free. And colleges do understand the value of that kind of distinguishing program. Last plug, we are a rolling program. You can apply today. Definitely come back. Definitely come by the Slingshot booth, and you can sign up to our queue today. And hopefully you guys have just an amazing experience here. All of these opportunities are 100%. There's several organizations here, but even more opportunities for you to pursue.
Hey, thank you, Akshat.
Now I can't hear any of you, but
Yeah.
hopefully that got through.
All right. So thanks, Akshat. To meet Akshat, you can go to table number 32 during the fair. It's a 3-hour fair, so just make the best of it. So I'm sure as you settle in, you'll also get to meet many more educators, mentors. There's one one thing that's always in my mind when I'm meeting students who say, "Oh, how can I build a profile?" and blah blah blah, and then I tell them, "What is it that you're really passionate about? What is it that you want to change about yourself, about the community, about the world in general, if you wish to?" And this question I wanted to pose to Smriti. I know you've been passionate about education, bioengineering, and puzzles and all that. So tell us a little bit more about you quickly, and then also stuff that you do at Stanford. And you continue to sort of build your resume in some sense, but also do it in a way which is just natural.
Yeah. So just to give you a little bit of background, I'm currently in my second year majoring in bioengineering at Stanford, and I'm here on behalf of South Asian Winter Camp, an educational nonprofit that is creating the first trans-border, South Asia-wide interactive learning and mentorship experience for high school students. To talk a little bit about my journey, sort of finding passions and problem areas of interest. In high school, I did a lot of mathematical problem solving. I was the kid who was like doing the Olympiads, and I really didn't think about bioengineering until I took this particularly exciting course at Stanford in my first year, where for the first time I built something with my hands from the ground up. And it was this class where we were in the lab till 2 a.m. Professors were staying back, leaving their families behind in the lab with us, also till 2 a.m. And despite being in this super intense situation, taking a class that most people were taking in their third or fourth year of school, I found myself really, really driven to solve these problems, keep coming back to the lab the next day. And so for me, all major career decisions have been made based off of these experiences where, despite being in high intensity scenarios, stressful scenarios, I really, really enjoy what I'm doing. And so even for maths, I did this summer program at Stanford that I was very fortunate to get into, where we were doing math for 8 to 10 hours a day and just working on these problems that were often at the graduate level. And despite, again, being in a really stressful environment, an environment where I think at least 70% of the people would have been better than me, right? So I was not thriving in this environment. Despite being there, all I could think of was, how can I learn more? How can I solve the next problem? How can I grow? And so to me, the most exciting thing about finding passion areas is finding these things that you want to keep doing no matter how good you are at them. And things where you see space for yourself to meaningfully grow and develop your sort of personal brand, as Arjun might put it. So I'm excited to discuss with everybody their journeys in that direction. And it's an exciting time to be in high school and be figuring this out.
Fantastic. And I think the South Asian Winter Camp is again it's a project which comes from the heart. It's not about really creating a for-profit venture. Again, it's really something which so many interesting educators have come together. It's the leadership team is all Stanford students, but you'd have mentors from universities across the world, including from India. So go to booth number 29 or table number 29 to meet Smriti and Minha. Minha is joining us from the US. She grew up in Karachi. And we have many other kids from many South Asian countries also here. So next up, I think doesn't require much of an introduction. Our India's one and only and first YouTube sensation for college admissions. Over to you, Shaurya. I think just knowing the fact that you could spread the word about Affair so quickly and efficiently just by plugging in half a minute, and we had over 300 people sign up, was a testimonial for success of how YouTube can sort of reach to so many people, and also your influence, so to speak. But my question to you is about this profile building thing and about building your resume. There's one part, of course, you want to solve a problem, or do something which is you truly believe in. But the second and third parts is, how do you create an ecosystem? How do you really communicate your ideas like you've been able to do so well? And what pains do you really have to go through to be able to do that?
Yeah, definitely. I think communicating your idea and really scaling any venture you've created in high school up is so important when it comes to the college application process, because everyone can have an idea, but it's really manifesting that idea and turning it into something tangible that is really something that takes a lot more effort. And it's something that I struggled with personally when I was in high school. Just to give you a little bit of context, I have recently gained admission to Stanford University, and I will be taking a gap year right now. And when I was in high school, my entire application revolved around this organization I created called Spectraverse, which was a recruitment platform for people with disabilities. And I was constantly asked, how are you going to give someone a job? You're not employable yourself. Like, what are you possibly thinking? And for me, it was more a factor of the reality that individuals with disabilities are a marginalized community in India. And, nobody was looking at them as, these individuals who could be financially independent. It was always a token of sympathy. And I really wanted to try and change that. And throughout my work, I really tried to use my age as an advantage when I was communicating anything. The first time I got a response back from a company saying, "Oh, we're interested in working with you," it was because of the fact that I was a 15-year-old. The first line of that mail, read out that I am genuinely taken aback that someone of your age wants to do something like this. And I think that's the first thing you need to realize when you're entering any extracurricular. Try to know what are your natural strengths, and don't look at the things that you might think are a disadvantage as that necessarily. Like your parents or like the people around you might be saying that, you're too young to do something like this. But I genuinely believe that you can always turn it around. And for why I'm here, my entire booth is about an organization I recently created called Sleep Deprived Dreamers. The whole idea is that try and see your dreams in real life instead of just sleeping on them. And the whole program I've created is really an online essay writing course for individuals, because I feel that, there are a lot of rejection criteria when it comes to the college application process. Your academics aren't good enough, your standardized testing isn't good enough, your extracurriculars are bland. But the one thing that can really move the needle and bring you from this side of the table to the other side is your essays and your ability to tell your story authentically and genuinely. And sadly, a lot of people really struggle to do that, either because you're coming from a location where English isn't your first language, you don't know how to put together a well-written piece of writing, or you've just never been taught to think of, you've never been told to think of your story in a creative way. I think the best description of an essay is creative nonfiction. It's your life, but you want to put it across in a way that really engages and captivates someone. And with Sleep Deprived Dreamers, I've really tried to create an essay writing course that will take you across the entire process of writing a college essay. We essentially break it down into 3 key components. You have writing well, you have storytelling, and you have knowing yourself. And when I was in 11th grade, I did not know myself too well, frankly. I did not take the time out to reflect on my experiences. And I think that if you give each of these components a good amount of thought, you will come out of the process with a college essay that will definitely make a difference in showcasing who you really are to an admissions officer. And hopefully, you make it to the colleges of your dreams. But yeah, that's my short story.
That's fantastic. So I think all 3 of you are kind of in close proximity in terms of booths and tables. I think 29, 30, 31 or something like that. So people can easily find you. So that's great. I think what I really liked about what all of you have said is that go with the flow, believe in yourself, don't be shy to connect with people and make it happen. I think there's no shortcut. Just get shit done. Okay, so that's about it for our first session. Thank you, everyone, and see you at the tables. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much.
So delighted to have you guys over. It's been such a whirlwind of a year, and just to have voices being heard from across the world to support student initiatives and also give them opportunities to meet interesting educators such as yourself is such an honor. So having you here, I'll just jump straight into the 2 questions I had. One is, several students I've worked with in the last 2 decades have been to Brown's summer school pre-college programs. I personally have visited Brown on a Rhode Island tour. I was fascinated by the hospitality and also, more than that, the opportunities students get at fine universities like Brown. So if you could tell us a little bit about the range of programs that are offered, any one of you could take it, Val, or even, so go ahead, tell us what are the range of programs that are offered, subject choices students could go for, and what's different this year?
Sure. So I'll take the first one. So some of the programs that we're going to be offering this summer, our biggest program, which if you've either looked us up in the past or if you've come to our program, you were probably a student at Summer at Brown for as far as our pre-college summer programs. that is our biggest. It's usually well over 200 courses, ranging just about every subject you can think of, and some of the courses are several of those subjects. We're also going to be running an online leadership institute. That is new this year, obviously with some changes because of COVID-19 and some major restructuring that had to happen so that students can continue to learn. We've rolled out, instead of having 12 online courses as we have in previous years, we now have closer to over 100 online courses, including those Leadership Institute courses. So that's some of what's new. And it's really exciting to us to be able to look forward and be able to continue to offer a much larger selection of online courses than we have in the past. So that's actually something really exciting for us coming out of this year. Just so many more opportunities for students to engage with instructors directly, other students that are really passionate about subject matters that they are too.
Okay, well, so if you could elaborate a little bit about the conversations you've had with students already. I know it's been a busy morning for you at the college fair tables. What is it that you feel are the important things people should know going into applications? And also when parents are here, they're making informed decisions about the benefits of doing these programs. How would you answer a typical question like that?
Yeah, some of the important things to know, of course, are deadlines. We have our opening, we're actually opening our application December 7th, so that's coming up very, very soon. And we always suggest to students and parents that they apply sooner than later because we have, in previous cycles, had courses and programs fill up pretty quickly, especially within the sciences, medicine, math, economics. Those courses tend to fill up rather quickly. Unfortunately, in terms of scholarship, we do not provide the Sibley Scholarship to international students. But students can choose to find ways to perhaps maybe fundraise or look into options to help kind of alleviate the costs of attending some of the courses. We do tend to post our courses between late January and February. So even though there might not be a robust offering of 2021 courses posted at the moment, we will be posting them in the coming weeks. So I know that can be a concern for students who are trying to figure out what they want to take and what their schedules look like. We anticipate we'll be hosting on campus as well as online, but things will look different due to the current circumstances. And so with the online option, it allows students from across the globe to have a lot more flexibility in terms of their schedule and which courses that they can attend.
Yeah, and if I could kind of build on that, two things with benefits from our online courses and our on-campus courses. So for our online courses, one of the things that we do a little differently than a lot of places is that our courses are designed asynchronously. So largely students don't have to log in at a certain time. They're able to engage with the coursework at any time that's convenient for them. So that frees up a lot of things. So students in different time zones like we are, you now have a lot more options for when you're engaging, but you're still getting that full college course experience. There's a lot of different options. They try to make it very, very accessible to students who either have, maybe you're working, maybe you're doing other courses, everyone's got very busy summers. So that's kind of our goal, is to make it accessible. And then as far as really what you get out of it and an advantage is, I'd say that the biggest one that we hear back from a lot of students that we get to talk to is they're experiencing something really new, because a lot of the subject matters that we offer aren't something that you're really going to get to touch in the same way in a normal high school course. So it really allows them to kind of dive deeply into something that they're thinking about for their future and see if it's right for them, or maybe try something new to see if that's the way they want to go. And it's really just something that I wish I had found something like that in my high school years, because it's just, it can be so transformative to touch a subject matter that you're curious about in such a more detailed way than you otherwise get to.
Fantastic. I think there are so many parents who are eager to meet you, and you just have one table. So in case you're here for the rest of the 2.5 hours, we could add another table right away. So you could actually get a table number 50 something, because that's where most of the spare tables are located. So let us know if you want me to do that, or some of our team members can set that up. So everyone, this is a great opportunity to get to know Ethan and Val and the things that Brown University has to offer, particularly the summer school programs and online programs. The Leadership Institute definitely sounds something unique, and I'm sure there's a practicum aspect to it too. The asynchronous learning, getting used to figuring out how to engage with students from across the world. These are fantastic times we live in some sense. Fantastic in the sense of course, the pandemic playing out on in terms of how education is being delivered, but also opportunities and the plethora of connections you can form. This is the time to seize your moment of not being shy and connecting with educators face to face. They will not step out of the dark black mirror screen that you have. So feel free to switch on your video cameras and mics, and don't just text them. I know I've seen many students at this fair just texting people. This is not what you need to do here. So feel free to engage, and look forward to seeing everyone at the tables.
Great.
Hi, Bijoy Suri and Gunjan Agarwal from Learn with Leaders. It's been a pleasure to reconnect online this year with you after having met maybe almost a decade back. And it's such a pleasure to see interesting, erudite people such as yourself jumping into education and offering such amazing, interconnected global learning opportunities to students in India. I've had the privilege of attending some of your coffee sessions with professors at Stanford and other universities. It's something that students should grab, and especially just before this session, we were talking about how the pandemic has actually thrown up interesting choices for our kids in India and elsewhere, people who are listening in from other cities in South Asia. You're all welcome to know more about how to sort of work during this time virtually with educators and learn with leaders to sort of spruce up your resume, but more than that, find what you are driven to do passionately. So over to you. Let's hear a little bit more about the journey of Learn with Leaders and what's next for students.
Hi, Arjun. Thanks for the introduction. And we've been here for the last 1 hour. Had some great interactions with the students here. So a bit about Learn with Leaders. We are kind of really a product of the pandemic, if I may use that word. Really, we didn't exist something like 6 months ago. But fundamentally, what's changed in the last 6 months? It's the fact that faculty, in the top universities globally, is now very comfortable to engage students over the Zoom platform. So if you look at what we've been able to do over the last 6 months, we've been able to get courses from Stanford, Harvard, from New York Times best-selling authors, courses which were not possible till like 6 months ago, because you actually had to go to Stanford, shell out that 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs, or go to Harvard to attend those courses. But that's part of the story. The other thing which really caught us by surprise is the fact that there are people out there in MIT, in Harvard, in Stanford, in Yale. They are looking to reach out to students here and mentor them. So we kind of made this very small step of starting this whole series called Coffee with Leaders. Where we got a faculty from Stanford to do these engagement with students in small cohort groups, and these are pro bono initiatives. And over the last few months, that has kind of really grown into such a big movement. Now every week we have faculty from Yale, Harvard, Stanford who come on our platform and they say, yes, we want to engage with students. So to give an example, sometime back we had Viral Acharya, the ex RBI deputy governor. He was a speaker. He interacted with students and he was so happy. He said, he's just happy to give back. He in fact sent an autographed book to all the students who attended that session. Yeah, and all of them have interesting insights. One of the students asked Viral, hey, how do I discover my passion? I'm in high school. And Viral said, hey, you know what? keep doing things which interest you. See if you want to go deeper, and probably somewhere down the line you'll find something which was of interest, and you want to do more and more. And probably that's your passion. Uh, again, like for example, we started this mentoring program from 9 Harvard scientists. They're from this organization called Harvard Graduate Women in Science and Engineering, and every month they mentor 30 students. Again, a pro bono initiative. So I think the news here is that things have fundamentally changed over the last 6 months in terms of the top universities reaching out to students in Southeast Asia, in Asia. All our programs have students across the Asian countries, but more so in terms of pro bono initiatives by all of them to kind of reach out to students here and say that, hey, we care. Just don't look at universities out there as we only charge big money if you want to come and learn from us. We are willing to do pro bono initiatives.
Arjun, you're mute.
Exactly. So I'm learning my own platform a little bit. So thank you for pointing out. No, I think it's just fantastic to figure out a niche and then realize that there are so many people willing to support your idea, especially when you talk about professors from such fine institutions readily giving their time or figuring out how to squeeze that sort of extra hour per week or any other time in the month to make available for high school kids in different parts of the world. So really commendable. Kudos to you. What are the few things that kids should know and go to your table, which is table number 10 at the fair? What is it that you really want to let them know, the things that you are launching or are time sensitive in terms of programs that are coming up?
So I think one, I think the big message really is, you can now really interact with faculty and students from the top universities of the world. Uh, you also don't have to go and wait to go to college at Harvard to get the Harvard study experience. Uh, all of that is now available to you even at high school. Uh, you just have to take that initiative.
Super. So I know you did mention about different things that students are doing. So what's next for Learn with Leaders as an organization, and how do you see engaging more students to do maybe collaborative work together?
So I think, Arjun, that's a great point. And I think what we're realizing is it's also important to kind of form communities, around these themes. And these universities are coming back to us. For example, Stanford came back and said they did a program in sustainability and development. How can we kind of make a community and get more students interested? How can we make them interact more? Harvard came back. I think one of the insights which we're getting is, for example, from the Coffee with Leaders sessions, some of the to use the word issues which students face in India when they attend these sessions where they interact with students from other countries, they realize that the other students also face the same issues, and they're trying to solve for them, and then they kind of get this sense of community. So I think going forward, I think what's really on the cards from us is kind of build this platform where we can really get these communities of students with similar interests, across the world, and get mentored and taught by some of the finest faculty.
So yeah, that's absolutely. I think the power of community, the network effect. We've seen the value of that in organizing these fairs. Our students have actually been sort of spearheading and sending the information out to their peers to have such a fantastic audience of over 500 people. The last time I checked, we had over 500 people register on this platform as of now. So that's fantastic. So I think what we definitely need to do is get the word out about Learn with Leaders and such inexpensive or pro bono programs. I mean, it's a no-brainer. The students can sort of shift and figure out that there is value here. So look forward to seeing you at the fair at your table, and have a great rest of the evening.
Thanks, Arjun, and I think it's a great initiative you've started. Hope to see one every month. Going forward.
It does take a lot of effort, so we probably need to get our students to fix every little piece of a fair and make it successful.
I'm sure this world's going to travel fast. From what I'm interacting with the students, they're really learning new things, and I think that's the whole idea. Some of the people here, even I hadn't heard before. So I think it's a very well curated set of, uh, you know, tables, which you say, but well done. A
Thank
very
you.
good curation.
And thanks again for supporting us. Look
You
forward
match us
to
in terms of the program curation.
Thank you. And thank you, Kira, for joining us. We're starting on time, and it's great that you were able to connect finally. And thanks, Leanne, for putting all of this together. I'd love to know more about the Iacocca Institute and particularly the entrepreneurship program. I had the pleasure of meeting past president from Lehigh who had been visiting India, and I'm not sure if you were there at that time, but Renuka and others had organized the event, and I'd learned about the Iacocca Institute back then. So tell us a little bit about the program and what's the history been like, and what the future holds for students, especially this time in terms of opportunities and particularly entrepreneurship education opportunities.
Great. Well, the Iacocca Institute is a very special part of Lehigh University. And as you may know, Lehigh is a highly ranked in the top 50 college university, research university in the U.S. The Institute works across all 5 colleges of Lehigh, so across the College of Business, Engineering, the new College of Health, Arts and Sciences, and the College of Education to deliver global leadership programs. We have adult programs, and we also have the high school program, which is the Iacocca Global Entrepreneurship Intensive, which Diana is the director of that program. This program has been around for 20 years and has been serving high school students and inviting high school students from all over the world to the Lehigh campus for 4 weeks each summer. So there are over 1,600 alumni of this program across 65 countries. The Institute in total have alumni in 150 countries. So anytime a student goes to one of our programs, they enter into this incredible network, worldwide network of alumni and partners of the Institute. The high school program, IGEI, we call it, Iacocca Global Entrepreneurship Intensive, is an intensive live-work program where students, high school students from usually about 15 or 16 countries, come to campus, live and work together. And it has 3 elements that are very important. First is the global nature of it, that the students are working together in global teams. The second is that it's experiential. So they do consulting projects for external organizations, just as if they were consultants. So it is a real life work experience, like a mini internship. And then the third is that the program is full of mentors, university students who mentor the project teams, entrepreneurs, executives, and other leaders who come to visit the program, site visits to different places. And so there are mentors all around, including the wonderful faculty of all the colleges at Lehigh. This year we have a special new design element to this program. The first week of the program will be a deep dive into a focused area that the students get to choose. These are being done in collaboration with the various colleges and departments across Lehigh. So this year we have the choice of population health with our new College of Health, engineering, business with a marketing focus, and sustainability with our Lehigh Office of Sustainability. So they spend 1 week going deep, learning in this area and doing some mini projects. And then they do a 3-week entrepreneurship. So they learn all of the principles of entrepreneurship, design thinking, and they do this consulting project with their fellow students. So it's a very intense and very valuable experience for high school students. Plus, they get to into the Lehigh community. We have a beautiful campus, and we have a wonderful staff, and the students have a great experience, which gives them benefits for their college experience, but also beyond.
Yeah, I'm so amazed to know about the new things that this, and it's kind of interconnected. The different sustainability, health, and all of it are obviously such important and pressing issues. And entrepreneurship as a mindset could be developed around these as an umbrella sort of skill set to solve problems. So amazing opportunities for students to meet you and interact with you at table number 11 at our fair. So I'm so happy that you are here. Deanne, I know you've had a busy morning already. What is it that you feel that students from India, South Asia would love to know more about the institute and the intensive? I love the word intensive, by the way, because yeah, I think this is a new venture for us. We've been a educator, counseling company for over 2 decades now, but starting a college fair and seeing it come through like this with over 500 people joining us at this point is truly amazing. So go ahead, tell us a little bit about what you've noticed with students from India.
Well, the students have an opportunity that if they're thinking to come to the United States to study, this will be a wonderful opportunity to learn about American campus, American faculty. Also, they build a network while they're still in high school. It's amazing how when they're in high school, they become they create lifelong friendships with students from the United States as well as other students in Asia and Europe and Africa and so forth. The takeaway is the learning experience that they get and how comfortable they will become in going into college because they learn how to time management. They have to go breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have to make sure they go to classes. They also have to be mindful in the collaboration mindset that they're going to be working with a diverse team. All the projects are divided into American and international students. So bringing them together and bringing their different mindset really creates a bonding, not only a bonding, but also a very effective solution to a problem that the companies will present to them. So a lot of moving parts into the program. It's very intense in the sense because we're very busy. We get up in the morning and we go in classes. We're doing activities in the evening. We have speakers that come in. We have dorm activities as well, and we also have our trips to New York City, to the local companies, to local businesses. We do ice skating. We do karaoke. We do dinner dance. We also partner with other programs within the summer that join us for different activities as well. So not only they learn and be friends with their group, with their cohort, but they also have an opportunity to meet others from other walks of life on campus as well.
The program has a great size. So we typically have about 60 students, and our target is always that about half of those will be U.S. from across the U.S. and half international. And as I said, typically about 15 countries. All continents are usually represented. So it's a very diverse group, and it's a large group. So you get this benefit of doing things in a larger group, but also doing things in these small teams. And since we have these focus areas, the students not only choose a focus area, but since the students will be mixed for other things, they will also get a window into the other areas. So someone that chooses to focus on population health will also hear from the engineering students, from the sustainability group, and the business group, because they will all be commingling and they will present to each other, and so they get the best of both worlds. And as you said, this entrepreneurial mindset pervades the entire experience. So whatever interest they have, they get to apply that in an entrepreneurial challenge.
So my introduction to the Iacocca Institute's program and intensive was that the Lehigh name has such a history, and there are so many interesting entrepreneurs who have been alum, and the connections not just within the Pennsylvania sort of region, but across the U.S. and other parts of the world. So, is there something that you've seen over the years, say students getting projects, say in the Bay Area, or which is obviously a pretty hotbed for tech entrepreneurs, and many from India have been super successful, as you would know, or other regions in the world. Could be Berlin, or could be somewhere in Tel Aviv, or anywhere in the world. So, what are the
Well,
connections?
one of the things benefit of this program is that we have a number of well, we've also done a high school program on the West Coast. Lehigh has a partnership with we are the academic partner for the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in San Francisco. So we actually have a facility there, and we have run programs there. Not this year during the pandemic, but those relationships still exist. So Lehigh alumni, Lehigh faculty and staff that are connected to that region, there are a lot of relationships there. Also, our adult global summer program called the Global Village, which has alumni in 140 countries, has many entrepreneurs within its 2,200 alumni, including many in the Tel Aviv ecosystem, in Germany, in Berlin, and in Kenya, in the entrepreneurship community there. So they're spread all over the world. And so those relationships we can draw on for connections to this program, and we can connect the students virtually there. But when they exit the program, those relationships are also available to them. And many of the projects that our students do are in fact alumni of the program that have started their own businesses in. Like I said, these programs that we run have been going on for more than 20 years, and so many of our alumni are quite accomplished in their own ventures at this point, and it's a wonderful network to draw from.
So fantastic. Thank you so much for finding time to connect with us at the Get College Ready Fair, and so happy that you could make it. I'm going to go back to the social lounge and hope to have many more interactions with students. So I'll see you later this evening, India time, morning your time. And let's get more students excited about entrepreneurship and make change and make impact with their ideas. Thanks for all the support institutions like Lehigh bring to the table. Hello and welcome, Neha. Neha Kumar is the program director at Research Discovery, organization I didn't know much about till a couple of weeks back. And just looking at the website just blew me over. Like things like opportunities to do research with very erudite senior research scholars, professors from leading institutions in India and elsewhere. I have two questions for you, and this is more of a quick session so that more people who are attending this fair can get to reach you. So tell us the history of research discovery. What was the idea, and how did it evolve over a period of time? And the second question is, what is it that you feel are the skills students can develop while working with mentors in your company?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Arjun. Firstly, I know we got in touch just recently. So the idea, I would say, developed in 2015 when I came back from the Netherlands, and I started working in high school. I started teaching IBTP, and one of the first things that I wanted to integrate in the school itself was writing research papers. Now that came about because of my experience that I had in a research master's program, where I realized that when you go from India to an institution abroad, you are not necessarily equipped with the skills for writing a research paper, and all your modules and all your assignments happen to be either research proposals or research papers. So that's something that I wanted to bring back when I came to India and when I started teaching from my research experience itself. And that's sort of where the idea developed. But sort of like moving forward in 2017, I started interacting with this really interesting researcher in Bangalore. She runs her own stem cell lab in conjunction with a cancer hospital. And I actually started putting a lot of kids through to her lab program itself, where kids were developing their research ideas in the lab, doing hands-on lab work, and getting the opportunity to publish along with the PhD, as well as the postdocs who work there. So it developed in 2017, where we fully started working together, and we realized that the potential of this could also be done online, because we did have students who didn't necessarily want to do the whole wet lab experience, but just wanted the experience of diving quite deeply into a topic, learning from experts. And I think if you ask my students, there's something that they would say, that they do want to gain a deeper understanding of their topic, of their areas of interest. They want to make sure that, the majors that they're applying to for universities is the right one. I just had a student who told me that she was quite convinced in grade 10 that biology was, her strong point. That's the major that she wants to apply to. But started with grade 11 and this whole pandemic, her grades slipped. And then when she took up the research discovery program, she was like, that interest came back, because I love writing. I love the idea of getting into a topic. I love the idea that, I could work with somebody who is expert, who has the expertise in the field. And now she's back on track to applying to biology majors in the United States. So I've been actually working with high school students my entire career, as to say. So either I've been a student or I've been working with students. I've also, I've actually personally mentored a lot of students on their personal projects itself, and guided them with the process of writing. So let me explain a bit about how research discovery works. We actually have 3 terms. We have a spring, summer, and a winter term. And each term runs for about 11 weeks, where the kids get to work one-on-one with a mentor as well as a writing coach. And at the end of the 11 weeks, you have a 10 to 15 pages long original paper, a topic that you want to investigate, not a topic that we throw at you. No pre-made topics here, but it is solely the topic that kids want to research. If you even go onto our website.
If you were to look at how IB is run, and students at IB, in some sense, are at an advantage when they do their extended essay and they go through the process of the research question and the methodologies and then findings and writing. Do you see many more CBSE, ISC, and national curriculum kids join, or even the IB kids are doing things in addition to their extended essay?
Right. So most of these kids are actually IB kids who are doing in addition to the extended essay. The difference, I would say, is that they get to work with an expert in the field. So it's not just a supervision in a topic, but it's actually from day one, you start with something that's not basic. So to give you an example, if I do pair you with Dr. Jyoti, your first session will literally be on stem cells. So it's not going to be on cell biology. It's not going to be on what are cell theories. None of that. You directly dive into the topic of the researcher's area of expertise.
A connected question to this is a lot of the STEM students are finding it so hard during the pandemic, with schools being shut, labs being shut. Some of the bioinformatics and all of that research could be done with data sets. Yeah. But do you think there's this gap right now in terms of access to resources and labs?
There is, I would say, which is the thing. And I don't wish to promote this in a way where I'm not asking students to take that risk and step out and put your family at risk. But we did have students this summer who still went to the lab. And that sort of, I do want to emphasize on the fact that it is a lab, so it is one of the cleanest environment that you could potentially be in. And they maintained all levels of social distancing and everything possible. So we did actually have students who did access the lab this summer as well. So the lab was full from our end.
Yeah, it's so refreshing to hear that, because of course we've had kids who've taken the risk to even travel and do the fall term, and they've been fine, and there've been protocols, and so obviously there is fear, and every family does decide what could work for them. But moving forward, did want to digress, you had more things to talk about. So one was this whole research focus and how it's done and the faculty engagement.
Yeah.
What else would you like to tell us?
I normally tell my students that it is about relationships that you build during these programs. So for us, mentorship and that the mentor and mentee relationship that you build is quite crucial, and it is also essential in so as to say for your higher studies. A lot of these kids do come back and do want internships in the lab, and if you've already networked when you're in high school, nothing like it to give you those initial internships that you wish that you would get when you were in your first year of college or second year of college. So for us, the relationship is quite important. But beyond that, it's also about understanding that writing skills is one of the main takeaways from the program. Communication skill, writing skills are the main takeaways from the program. This will help you transition from school level of writing to the university level of writing. And that is what we are promoting at the moment for our kids to understand. Where can you use the research paper? I do conduct a workshop on that as well, how you can append that in your Common App, your coalition, in the activity section itself. So we do a session on that as well for the students, just for them to know where, because I think at the end of it, like I do have kids at the end of 11 weeks who are like, wait, what do I do with this? Do I get to publish this? But you cannot publish a paper. That's not what we promote. Some of our kids have published, but I want the audience to understand that they've worked on the project for about 2 years almost. And that's when they got a publication, and they've gotten publications in high school journals. I'm not talking Science Direct. I'm not saying Nature. So that's not something. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's sometimes so important to mention that the peer review journals of the highest sort of level, it's not a cake. It's not easy to just sort of get those published, and very often counselors are supposed to come out with a sort of a rabbit out of their hat and figure out how to help kids who are brilliant. Having that resilience to work with mentors for over a few years, and then gradually once you reach a university, that one could do that. Okay, so wait, you're at table number 13. I know it's a popular sort of spot this evening. I hope you get to work with many more students who are here. Looking forward to hosting you at many more events and fairs coming up.
Thank you so much, Arjun. This has been great so far for us this evening, and thank you so much for hosting us.
And I wish research discovery grows beyond life sciences, and if there are plans, I'm sure
I will obviously update you guys on our upcoming plans for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right.
Make collaborations work in this virtual world, and especially the idea of becoming better at communicating your ideas and even collaborating with people during the time of the pandemic has taught everyone who's been sort of forced to be working virtually, looking at a black mirror all day. It's a delight to know that educators such as yourself have taken the bold step to start something new. Extra View is the company, and Extra Prep is the product which was launched earlier this year. And so very apt, when students need to make a mark and talk about themselves, put themselves out there, communicate their ideas clearly, and all the other things about getting the 21st century skills in front of people. So what was the origin of your this idea, Extra Prep, and how does a student learn how to shine in all kinds of digital interactions that they have? And of course, when they finally go for interviews to either an internship provider or even a research organization or a college application, what was it that drove you to this idea? And what's next with the offering that students can gain from?
Sure. So, thank you for having us, Arjun. It's really a pleasure to be here, and it's been great to be able to interact with everyone in this virtual format. In many ways, it is there are things that are different and that we all have to adapt to. But sometimes the adaptation is good. Sometimes it forces us to grow and learn and to adopt new processes and procedures that are actually an improvement on what was in place before. So Extra View and Extra Prep as a product sort of originated from conversations with both students who were applying to universities, but also to internships, to summer programs, things like that, and feeling like they didn't have the full space to express everything about who they were just through their essays. There was more that they wanted to share. And similarly, conversations with admissions officers saying that, we wish that we could understand more about who a student is, that we could get a sense of their personality, that they could kind of come to life off paper. And so Extra View and now Extra Prep are sort of born of that need to kind of meet both of those needs together. For students to share a little bit about who they are in their own words, and then for admissions officers from various programs to be able to understand that and integrate that into their admissions process. And so Extra Prep as an extension of that then also helps students sort of prepare for those digital interviews and interactions.
Great. Kavita, if you were to add a little bit about the product itself as to what do students really do, who are the people that work with the students to build these communication skills in this virtual era, how does it work?
Yeah. So I think as a parent, as an educator, as a business person, the skills that we look for in candidates or students or people in the workforce who are successful today are communicators and collaborators. I think those are two key skills that is going to take people even more forward as we move into this new era of working together across the globe together. So what we have created is a program which is not just theory. It includes day one of a 90-minute webinar where children are taken through almost 15 areas of things to look out for, skills that they must have, and how to conduct themselves well on any platform. Day two is an actual interview with one of our ace communicators, specialist communicators, whatever you want to call them. These are highly accomplished people in their own fields who have taken the time to invest in the next generation. The kids go through an interview and then they are provided with a recording of their interview along with a written assessment of their performance. And we've also curated a special aspect. It's a 1-hour mentoring with either Catherine or myself, where we sit down with the child, we go through their performance and areas that need a little bit of tweaking, little bit of supervision, little insights into how they could have shown even strongly. Those are shared, and we are opening these mentoring sessions to parents because a lot of times parents sign their kids up for workshops and they never know what actually happened. So we want it to be a completely transparent process, and we want to invest our time into actually making a difference in how a child performs.
Fantastic. And I think background as an independent education consultant, Catherine has years of experience, and knowing her because of the same profession that we are in, we are in a way tuned to listen and then identify opportunities for our students. It's just great that this is an initiative started by you and not just anyone else. What is it that you saw as a link between independent education consulting and this work?
Yeah, I think the link was again sort of in the need for students to feel like they had a space where they were also open and comfortable with the person that they were speaking about. When I would do mock interviews with my students, it was very easy. They were very forthcoming with information because there was sort of that human element that they were talking to it, but then they would communicate. And when it came to again, when it was with a stranger happening online. And so to prepare students and to almost empower them with that skill to know that, no, in the end, an interview is always a human interaction, and it's about making that connection with the person and about making because if you can learn that skill, especially early in life, that's a skill that's going to last you a lifetime. And so being able to sort of personalize that element for them and help students develop that skill early on. A big part of my approach is also very much about empowering students with the agency and the skills that they will need for the future. And extra prep is absolutely, that's sort of what it embodies.
Kavita, when you look at as a parent, you had a journey with your daughter, and she's currently at Claremont McKenna.
That's right.
Right. And of course, schools like Claremont, which are small liberal arts colleges, focus on leadership and communication. What do you think she would have benefited if she had some training before she sort of went into, or someone like her? Because I'm not sure I know her enough. So, what would you advise high school students who are applying to college to think of? Not just the interview process, but as to how to apply it when they are in a new setting.
I think I'd take a step back and say that every parent's endeavor is to equip their children with skills that help them succeed, is deem fit. As the pandemic has struck the world, parents are also learning this new way of functioning. So while they are learning, it's difficult for them to impart these skills as naturally as some of the other skills that they have acquired over the knowledge over the years. So I think now is the time for us to all invest in imparting this new learning, this new technique, which is going to be as important as learning how to write an essay, honestly, because this is the new way forward and this is how the world is going to function. So I feel that as a parent, listen to your children, and also don't make them live your dreams. Understand what their dreams are and help them achieve those. And that would be my one piece of sort of as a parent to high schooler students' parents. And the thing is that if you listen, you will know what your child wants. And it's important to be open to their opinions, and it's important for them to get the life skills that are required in this new world. And it's your responsibility as a parent to enable them to do that.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. And also what you mentioned earlier was quality and keeping the parents in the loop and engagement. There are so many spoken English courses, or there are so many interesting, communication skill enhancement sort of enrichment programs. I think what's critical here is the quality of not just the instruction and the material that you have up there, but also the feedback. And I think your credibility definitely adds to that. So with that, I wish you all the luck with meeting more students and figuring out what they need to do. Very often when I meet students at our Get College Ready Fair, we see that they do not switch on their microphone sometimes, forget the camera. They would just continue chatting and they say, okay, let me just figure things out. And I keep telling them, hey, look, this is the internet era. You need to switch on your camera and speak. So I hope you can convince more students here, at least, to do that. Let's be in touch post the fair as well. And looking forward to many new products coming out of your new venture, and looking forward to supporting it, not just through our fairs, but also letting our students know across the board. Thanks. Welcome, Cade, from where are you located currently? In San Francisco? Or
I'm actually currently in Texas. Actually, it's where my home is. So that's where I'm been dislocated to due to the pandemic.
Great, good to know that you had that one extra hour of sleep or something. I was assuming it's too early for you to get going.
It's super early, but glad to be here.
But thanks. So you're a program manager at Inspirit AI, and you're also a student at Stanford. And by looking at your profile, I was really inspired by STVP, the work they do, and your association with it was, wow, okay, that's great. We'll learn more about you as well, but in the next 10 odd minutes, I'd love to know more about Inspirit AI. I know Adish has been in touch over the years, and we've supported outreach efforts for their initial fairs in India. But what exactly does Inspirit AI do, and how has it evolved over a period of these 4-5 years?
Yeah, so Inspirit AI started with a group of graduate students at Stanford saying, they're like, AI is such an amazing technology. It's going to be so impactful over the next, the next few years, and especially the younger generation. It's really going to power a lot of the world that they grow up in. So they're like, we really want to start teaching students about this at an early age, especially because it is a great way to really, it's like a great way to start learning more and getting more interested in computer science. So majority of these students themselves were international students, quite a few of them from India. And they were like, oh, I want to build this program and I want to bring it to students from home. Of course, that's not my home, as you can tell. But many of the founding members were like, I want to bring it to my home, like where I grew up. So the program started and launched with an in-person workshop in India. And that was last summer. So last summer was once they had finally put together, developed the curriculum that they thought was best for teaching high school students, and really tailoring it so that they could convey the most meaningful information possible to them, so students would get the most out of it, and also creating a network of instructors, and then organizing, of course, the in-person sessions and all the logistics there. We had our first session last summer in person, and that was great. Everyone, I think, really enjoyed that, got a lot out of it. And then we were hoping to, again, do that this year before going live online. But, of course, the pandemic had different plans for that. And so now we've launched online, and are hoping to then come back again this summer in person, depending on the situation with the pandemic.
It's fantastic. Of course, artificial intelligence is such an overused word. So let's just go a bit slow and demystify just that.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not that AI as a term has been recently coined; it's been there. What do you see? How has it become so exciting at this point in our tech sort of journey, or in the continuum of sort of tech explosion of tech ideas, and why should students actually bother to know more about these technologies and applications of these technologies and even innovations in those around?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I think one of a very famous quote is by Andrew Ng. He's a very popular member in the AI community. And he says, AI is the new electricity. And it's not just, to sound interesting, but because of the fundamental ways in which it changed how industry functions. So electricity allowed industries to have this tool that completely revolutionized their processes, all of their processes. And in much the same way, AI has this ability to revolutionize processes in every industry virtually. Even, this sounds crazy, but even in art, artificial intelligence is being used for tons of visual and even audio art. So using AI for music generation, music editing, things like that. AI for even graphics, of course, is one thing, using AI for modeling that. But also even AI for art generation. There's a thing called style transfer, which is really neat if people want to look that up. But to then delve more into the more industrial applications, artificial intelligence will be powering finance. It'll be powering healthcare. It'll be powering countless industries, and even being used to work with for agriculture. Being able to determine the health of an entire plot of land for its soil health, for its water, the water in the soil, things like this. AI is able to have such a wide, basically such a broad scope of applications that will really just optimize performance in almost in every industry.
Fantastic. I think while going over and once we connected on LinkedIn, I also started noticing how Inspirit AI students are doing such amazing projects, which are sort of continuation. It's not just that they did that program and it's over. So tell us a little bit about the structure of the program and how does it really culminate? Is it you can accomplish a few things first and then you can add on and do research projects, or does it come all in one piece?
Yes. So the the general way we first reach students is through our Introduction to AI course. And in that, students both learn AI fundamentals and concepts and also complete a project with that. So from there, we try to teach students as well through workshops how to highlight their experience on their resumes for opportunities that they will pursue after, and also give them materials so that they can continue learning after the live instruction is over. But additionally, we have other ways through which we hope the students continue learning and growing with us. So we offer more advanced courses after the introductory course. And additionally, we've recently began an Inspire AI Ambassadors program. And through that, students dive into their interests a little deeper and write blogs. And even some students are pursuing writing articles to hopefully publish. And then they'll also like growing their community of other students around the world to grow and learn with. And I want to say there's a group from the Ambassadors program that has a student in South Africa, a student in South Korea, a student in India, and another student in America, all building a project together, which I find very interesting. So yes, to kind of condense all of that down to one sentence, we really want to try and continue encouraging students and helping them grow following the introductory course, because I feel like at that point, like you're just dipping your toes in the water, and AI is just so exciting to learn, at least for me. So there's so many ways we'd love to keep helping students along their path after. And sorry, I also forgot to mention, our instructors also meet all of our students or give an introduction to all of our students and talk about their work. So hopefully students will reach out to them if they find that an instructor does something they find interesting, to learn some from them and talk about next steps.
So very often in such programs, there are kids who are fence sitters. They're like not sure they're smart enough to be part of this whole AI education. How do you really select students, or how do you identify which student would be good fit for this program?
Yes, so we have applications on our website at inspireai.com, but in those applications there, we have some questions asking you to kind of gauge students' experience level. And so we offer different cohorts for students, and I guess to kind of make any student sitting on the fence feeling like maybe they're not ready, we take students with absolutely zero programming experience. So we will teach fundamentals of Python and basics of Python in our beginner cohorts, and then develop students' abilities so that they can then learn artificial intelligence and machine learning in our program. So I guess like no student should feel too nervous or worried. Honestly, we find that high school students typically have at least a good enough math understanding to learn these concepts so that they can apply them algorithmically and through writing programs. So yeah, we if students do have a more advanced level, we have cohorts for that. But even the absolute beginner, we have programs for them as well.
I think you pretty much tied in so many aspects of it. Understanding the basics, having a peer network which is motivated on completing projects together, and this continued support of mentorship, and in terms of even figuring out how the educators at Inspirit AI can discuss ideas they're working on. Do you have examples of something like that where students continue to engage with the team at Inspirit AI and did projects which were faculty-led projects, and they were doing it anyways, and then kids jumped into it?
Yeah, so I guess I can talk about myself, actually, since I'm also an instructor. So I actually taught my first session this past fall, and some of my students that I taught also joined after they completed the introductory course as ambassadors. And so now they're diving deeper into their interest through their blogs, and also contacting other students in the network to work on projects themselves. But my research interests are actually with design, oddly enough, which like seems, I guess, maybe weird to think of with artificial intelligence, but I'm very interested in how we design, kind of like designing a process for creating algorithms so that they are as responsible as possible and as account for the needs of humans as much as possible. So it's kind of a growing field called human-centered AI, which is like really trying to dive deep into like how can we make sure we are developing these systems to be as productive for human society as possible. And so that's what I'm really interested in.
That's where also ethics and conversations around collective sort of contributions comes in play. I know your work at the peak of the STVP at Stanford was related to ethics and technology. Tell us a little bit more about that, because the world needs to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was kind of separate work that I did in kind of ethics and entrepreneurship, specifically related to technology, because that is, of course, what is most popular in Silicon Valley. But yeah, so through this, it was a cohort of me and 15 other students. And we were working with alumni from Stanford and the entrepreneurship programs at Stanford to kind of talk about how we can structure a business from the very beginning to ensure that we are engaging in ethical principles, of course, ethical business practices, and how to basically bake that into the structure of a company at the beginning. So baking that into our business model, hiring processes, all these things of this nature, because as we did many case studies through this, we learned that there are so many people that don't realize what's happening until it's too late, or don't realize how their company or their even personal morals may be at question until it's too late, or until it's too late for them to recognize it and reconcile with it. So that was quite interesting work, and it was very interesting hearing from people that knew some like founders firsthand and could share their stories with us of like some of the sad stories that we do hear about entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley that aren't so glorious.
That's so refreshing to hear. And I think students, especially the generation we work with now, are so tuned into the fact that it's not just about making a career or a living, and it's these broader questions of ethics and community and collaboration to solve issues which can have good social impact. So I wish you all the best, Kate, and your team at Inspired AI, to spread the word about good AI all over the world. And I hope the interactions today were good and continue to do so with the students you've met here. I know there are a few minutes left, but we might just leave the platform open for another 15 to 20 minutes. We do want to end on time, and we don't want students to be glued on screens, especially in India. It's going to be at 10 p.m. and I'm sure parents have heard about it. So next, we're kind of extending the program for another 15 minutes so that people can finish their conversations at the tables. And then pretty much a sign out from all of us at the Get College Ready Fair. Our parent organization is EdBrand, and we are an independent education consulting company. College Fair was an idea which came up during the pandemic, and it's kind of been snowballing into something of its own sort of making. And every time we do a fair, we are so delighted to see educators who found us and would want to join in promoting not just their work, but also spreading ideas on how education can be delivered. So long, and look forward to hearing feedback from everyone. And we'll be sending out a feedback form shortly. If you could fill that out, that would be great. So thanks again, Kate, for having the patience to listening to my closing remarks. And I'll see you soon.
Of course. Yes, great